Hello and welcome to Redmen TV, very special news edition here. Obviously, all everyone's talking about is the results of the Hillsborough inquest yesterday. Today, obviously, more of the aftermath and the emotion, the fallout surrounding the events. Obviously, first and foremost, I just want to say, thanks very much and a big shout out to Chris Pajak, who was here yesterday, who had to handle the news. And I thought, what a fantastic job he did at that. If you haven't seen that video, do go and do that. He talks through the points of the inquest in a good amount of detail. Fantastic work from him. What I want to look at is, obviously, I've gone and picked up the newspapers of the day just to see how the press are covering it, and then talk about a few of the things that are going to be happening as the next steps and a few things that happen in Liverpool at the moment as well. So, first thing I want to kick off with is the Liverpool Echoes. Look, the most fitting place for us to start this special edition, Angels and Demons, with the Hillsborough Flame as well. And obviously the voice of the Echo says there'll be many villains in this story and many heroes. Above all heroes sit the families. Like the families, the Echo calls upon the CPS to continue journey to justice. The inquest verdicts, we hope, bring to an end a 27-year story of institutionalised cover-up and shameful contempt, both for truth and for ordinary people. What the institutions fail to recognise is that they were not dealing with ordinary people, and that Liverpool is not an ordinary city. You'll have to excuse me if I stumble over a few points in this. It's obviously rather an emotive subject, but absolutely fantastic cover from the Liverpool Echo, and looking at, again, all the way through it, looking at the people who died and the people who've been part of the cover-up as well, because, obviously they're finally getting the results and finally having that in almost like rubber stamp, that official, announcement that, the fans weren't to blame and, the police in the day was to blame, which is something we've all known for 27 years, is obviously, let's be honest, it's the most important thing. But next comes justice. Next comes what happens to the people who are responsible for the deaths of those people. And I think that particularly someone like Brian Reed, you've got the Daily Mirror here, says families of Hillsborough victims have had 27 years of sleepless nights. Now it's time for those guilty of criminal negligence and a cover-up to have theirs. Top cop was to blame for deaths of innocents. Hunt for those in power behind wicked cover-up. Liverpool fans exonerated after years of slaves. And Brian Reed has been at the forefront of this campaign throughout that time, as his time as a local journalist and obviously working on the Nationals as well. He is one of the most passionate speakers, to stand up for justice and to stand up for the Liverpool fans over the years. So massive for him, and I've some great stuff from him in the Mirror today as well. I want to go on. We've got some great covers, but just something I wanted to just highlight, because look, I didn't read too many of the comments yesterday because inevitably, look, you know what YouTube is, I know what YouTube is, and I know sometimes the comments section on this platform can be not a very nice place to exist, and mercifully the vast majority of people have come to this channel on these videos for the right reasons. But there's a few who are looking to troll over, maybe a little bit too young to understand the ramifications of this. And look, I'm going to try and put it into context for you. And obviously you've got a city of like 500,000 people. Every single person in this city was affected by this story yesterday. The city's ground to a halt, and look, I would be surprised if there was a dry eye in any house in Liverpool. But the way I try to think of it, over the 27 years, what's happened is 96, and the story has almost become just that. It's become a story, it's become a number, it's become a headline. And I think the visceral emotion of and the reality of what that day actually was gets lost in that. And just to give some context, because some people may be watching and don't understand, maybe too young to get it, or maybe just don't get understand the circumstances involved in it. Again, look, I apologise if you come to Redmen TV for fun, light-hearted banter, whatever. Look, we still do this, but you've got to understand how important this is to us as Scousers, as Liverpool fans, and as people whose families were affected by by the tragedy and could have been affected a lot worse. Think about the person. Try and think about the person that you love most in this world. And I was watching Margaret Aspinall's interview yesterday, and it brought me to tears. Not for the first time on that day, and it rightly should. Think about the person you love most in this world, and that can be a mother, a father, a grandparent. It could be a brother, it could be a sister. If you're a little bit older, it could be your own child. Now imagine that person in the happiest they've ever been in their lives. Imagine them feeling elated, imagine them smiling, imagine them going off to do something that they really want to do, and then imagine a world where they basically have the life crushed out of them and they end up sat down, lying down on their own in the middle of a football pitch, alone, struggling to breathe and having no one there with them while they take the last breath. Now imagine that, try and picture that if you can, someone that you know, someone that you love, dying alone and thinking they just want to be with their mum. or they just want to be with the dad, or they just want to be with the brothers, or they want to be with the sisters. I want you to think about that. Every time you think you want to post something nasty about Hillsborough, or you want to drag up other things of the past or whatever, those things have their place and those things have got their own time. And those things require their own attention. But when you think about posting, trolling comments when it comes to Hillsborough or whatever, and you think you've been funny or whatever, try and imagine that and try and put yourself in that position. Try and imagine someone that you care about most deeply on this earth, taking the last breath alone, and then not only that, not being given effective treatment, and then being treated with the disrespect to almost say it was their own fault that they died when it wasn't, and being accused of a whole load of heinous actions as well. And I'm sorry I have to do that, but it's things that need to be said. But look, we'll carry on. Fantastic. Just to show how the news is spread, this is from the London Evening Standard, which is a free newspaper in London. This has been handed out yesterday. Again, Hillsborough, justice for the 96, sums it up. Again, shows that the truth is spread. And we've got the Guardian saying after 27 years, justice. Even the Daily Telegraph, which is not the most socialist of newspapers. Hillsborough families cheer justice as Hillsborough police face prosecution. And you've even got, you've got papers like, and again, far from a great newspaper in any way, shape or form. You've got the Daily Star, Hillsborough justice for 96 at last. And then you've got the Eye as well, justice for the 96 at last. Hillsborough victims unlawfully killed and police chief could stand trial for manslaughter. Yeah, the next steps. There's something actually I just want to ask a question of yourselves. Nothing on the front page from the Sun today. I don't care, if I'm perfectly honest, because we don't pay attention to that newspaper anyway. But I just thought it was worth noting and just gauge people's opinions on whether they felt that was something that the Sun should be taking almost over the top steps to make to publicise this news, given how heinously they covered the disaster back in 1989, or is that a sensible decision of them just to kind of steer clear of it, because ultimately they know no one from Liverpool is going to buy that shit rag of a paper anyway. Just give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. There's a fantastic tribute at St George's Hall in Liverpool. We'll have put a few clips. You'll have seen a few clips as we go along through this video. But if you want to go down, if you're in Liverpool or near Liverpool, I strongly recommend going down and checking it out. I was in town last night, and it was when it was lit up, and it was one of the most moving things I've seen as well. You've got the banners, truth, justice, and the names of the 96 are within there as well. You've got the 96 lanterns and that kind of stuff, and it was just an incredible tribute, and it makes me genuinely proud to be a Scouser, and more so proud for all the people who've fought tirelessly. Look, we've done a few bits and pieces in the last few years, but it pales. It's just a drop in the ocean by comparison to the blood, sweat and tears poured out by the people from the Hillsborough Justice Campaign, from the Hillsborough Family Support Group, people like Anne Williams, who sadly weren't able to live to see this ultimate victory. And for those people, obviously, I want to dedicate everything we do, dedicate this show, dedicate everything we do, in terms of being a Liverpool fan, being a Liverpool fan channel, to those incredible human beings, because the bastards who are behind this cover up would have got away with it. If it wasn't for that, and we never would have had justice for those innocent, completely 100% innocent Liverpool fans, people like you and me, football fans, who just went to enjoy a game of football and never came back. So yeah, let us know your thoughts or anything in the comments below. I do implore you to go over to St George's. I think there's something happening at 5:45 tonight. In Liverpool, I'm going to try and get down there, but I implore you, if you're within driving distance or whatever, to go down and pay your respects or whatever. Yeah, fantastic. Listen, thanks very much for watching. Justice for the 96.